I told my fiancé I wanted to sign a prenup before we got married, and in the process, he found out that my son has a savings account worth more than everything he owns. He was furious that I had hidden it from him and demanded that I share half of the account with his daughter, who I did not know existed. Posted by you/amazing_box_3511. I, 35F, met my fiancé 2 years ago. My son, 4M, gets along well with him, and my ex-husband, my son's father, also likes him. Now to the point, 3 years ago, I won a large sum of money in the lottery. Not millions, but enough for a comfortable life if I work normally and a good start for my son later. 75% went into a savings account that my son will have access to when he's 21. My fiancé always thought I had plenty of money, and I never corrected him. I insisted on a prenuptial agreement, which required full financial disclosure. The amount in my son's savings account turned out to be about 5 times more than anything my fiancé has. Completely enraged, he left the lawyer's office and ignored all my calls for 2 days. For me, that was the end of the relationship, and I wrote to him saying he could have the ring back. A week later, he showed up at my door. He said he loved me but had been in shock and now wanted details about where the money had come from. He also told me that he had a 5-year-old daughter from a previous relationship and that it would only be fair to split the money so his daughter could also benefit from it. He saw it as justified since I got the money through luck rather than hard work. I gave him back the engagement ring and kicked him out of my apartment. Since then, I've been receiving messages from various social media profiles and phone numbers accusing me of being the jerk who was ruining his daughter's future. I only learned about his daughter that day. I had never seen any photos or heard anything about her in the past 2 years. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Not the jerk. You did the right thing breaking things off. Stay broken up. This dude will ruin your life otherwise. Ops response. Yes, for me this relationship is over. I'm just shocked at the games he's playing now. I still haven't found out whether he really has a daughter or whether he made it up so he could disappear with half the money. Commenter 2. You knew this guy for 2 years, got engaged, and didn't know he had a daughter? And he's upset that you didn't mention your son's money? Ops response. Well, I tried to tell him about my finances. He never wanted to know. He was always kind of, yeah, I'm the man, you don't have to worry. Commenter 3. So wait, did all this happen before the prenup was even finished? And did you put in your sons because you were worried about creditors coming for you and this gave you an out? I'm just trying to piece together the whole story. Ops response. We sat with a lawyer to draw up the prenup. We had to disclose our finances. I didn't know exactly whether my son's account was excluded or not, so I took the documents with me as a precaution. When we went through these documents, he stood up and stormed out of the office extremely angry. In my country, it is customary to set up the bank account in the child's name. With normal savings accounts, both the person who opened the account and the parents can have access to it. So my son's dad also knows about it. My side of the family would love to have access to the money in the event of my premature death. That's why it's blocked. Additional info from Op. Wow, thanks for the support. I never expected so many comments or upvotes. I probably have some explaining to do. In my country, lottery winners are never revealed. Sometimes they say in which region a ticket was bought, but never more. Apart from the financial security for my son, there is no sign of the win in my family. I used my part of the win to pay off debts and bought myself a car, neither new nor anything special. We live in the same rented apartment, and I still have my job that pays the monthly bills. I treat myself to a 2-week vacation in Australia once a year, but never in luxury. My son wears Temu clothes, he loves the designs, and I don't have any designer stuff myself. I always wear my clothes until they wear out. So there was never any sign that my fiancé was a gold digger. On the contrary. I had to fight for him not to keep inviting me to dinner or paying for weekend trips. I mostly turned them down. I grew up in a financially unstable family, so I was always very concerned about being frugal. My son's savings account is also closed to withdrawals before his 21st birthday. You can put money into it, but you can't take it out. And even then, only he is allowed to do so. Update 2 months later. Hello everyone, thank you for your support on my original post, and sorry for the long wait for an update. After receiving many of your tips, I took my son to his grandparents, informed the police, and also told my boss. Unfortunately, the police can't do much in my country as long as he doesn't commit a crime against me. Harassing me on the phone and begging for money doesn't count as a crime. I informed my boss mainly because my ex-fiancé works for a company that we deal with almost daily. That's how we originally met. In recent weeks, there have been many attempts by his friends and family to contact me, all of them trying to convince me to give him the money. But everyone hung up when I asked about his daughter. When my ex-fiancé showed up at my workplace, he didn't normally have to do that after getting a promotion. My boss called his company and explained that if he took one more step in my direction, all contracts would be cancelled due to their unacceptable behavior. This led to a meeting with my ex-fiancé's boss, my boss, and me. I didn't share every detail, but when it came to the money, his boss explained that my ex-fiancé actually wanted to buy a large stake in the company and was allegedly just waiting for a loan to be paid out. This made it clear why he wanted my son's money so badly. My ex-fiancé is actually a highly respected employee at his company, which is why his boss was reluctant to fire him. Especially since that probably wouldn't have improved my situation, and similar to the police, his boss considered it bad behavior, but not a criminal offense. At the same time, my company is a very large client for them, and sweeping the whole thing under the rug wouldn't help. After a few days, I received news that my ex-fiancé was being transferred to another branch of the company, several thousand kilometers away from me. The company's purchasing department also clearly rejected the purchase. Afterwards, I found out via social media that my ex-fiancé actually does have a daughter. A friend was still following him on Instagram to keep an eye on him, and when she looked at his tags from the last 6 years, she noticed his ex. A look at her profile showed a girl of the specified age. I contacted her, and she willingly explained how much he had wanted a child and how, when the ultrasound showed it was a girl, he left her. He broke off contact with the mother during the pregnancy and willingly gave up all his rights and obligations as a father. She is now in a happy relationship, and her husband loves her daughter. She never asked my ex-fiancé for money. Following your advice regarding the savings account, I contacted our financial advisor and can now say that I must apologize to you. It is indeed a trust fund, I just hadn't referred to it as such until now, as it's mainly called a savings account in my country. But yes, it is a trust fund in the American sense. I discussed with my ex-husband, my son's father, how we would arrange the payout and, thanks to your tips, we have now decided on a staggered payout from ages 21 to 35 so that he has support during several stages of his life. The amount at age 21 has been set so that it can be used for college, but at the same time, it won't hurt too much if he squanders it. My question about am I the jerk here was mainly because many people in my circle called me that for persuading my ex-fiancé to sign a prenuptial agreement. But for me, prenuptial agreement was important for several reasons. To secure my son's money, and now I know he wouldn't have been able to touch it. I started a small business alongside my main job, nothing big at the moment, but it's still mine. I'm saving so I can eventually realize my dream of owning a house in Australia, and I didn't want to lose that money to him in a divorce. In retrospect, I can see how many red flags I overlooked with him, and I will definitely be more careful in the future. Thank you for your support, also via DMs.